Good morning, soccer fans. Welcome to the UWS Kickoff Show. We're waiting for Katie. She'll be here shortly, but I want to introduce my co-host today who's here now. Kaylor, what's going on, my man? How are you, bro?
Hey, not too much. Living the dream. Just wonderful to be back after an awesome first week of the UWS. How about you, John?
Not too bad, man. I was trying to watch some matches yesterday because we did have some action yesterday in UWS with Los Angeles Soccer Club playing Congo, and also the matchup that I tried to really watch with the runners. Who was it? Luxoria and Athenians. That's a different story. But hey, Luxoria came out on top. We'll see if that's the actual result, though. Who knows?
Yeah, we'll see.
So hey, listen. We before we get started, I want to say thank you to our partners, 11 Select, Duktig, VO, the NL Tactical Board, Impact Canopy, and Fearless and Capable. Make sure you give them a follow, give them a check out at least to learn more about what they're doing and how they can help you off and on the pitch. But Kaylor, listen, we had a lot of soccer last week as well. A lot of hat tricks last week. We had 3, I think, in fact, throughout the league, which, hey, that's awesome. But we also had some matches where, at least in the Great Lakes division, the goal differential was just absolutely, I'm not going to say it was bad, but listen, anytime you can have a goal differential like that, 5-0, 8-1, hey, those either are some very strong teams, which we know Corktown Hawks are, but I did not expect Nationals FC to come out the gate like that. What about you?
No, and it's definitely it was definitely a shock, I guess, to see the results. And yeah, like you said, is it a question of is one team just that much better, or is it okay, this is a new team just trying to find their footing versus a team who maybe knows their teammates a little bit better? But you definitely, if you go to the UWS website and you see the score lines at the top, you're like, whoa, what happened?
Absolutely. And, you know, it's first weekend, right? And a lot of these teams, at least with Cap City, even Nationals in Michigan, they're new to the league. And when you're new to the league, it kind of has a different feel to it, I think is the best way you could put it. And we're gonna say good morning to Katie as she's drinking her cup of coffee. Good morning, Katie. How are you?
I'm good. Had some technical difficulties, so we're good though.
All good. Well, good morning. Hey, Katie. As we get started this morning, what were some of your takeaways for match week 1 in the UWS and some of those games that took place?
I saw a lot of great stuff out of the Southwest. I think personally versus last season, it's going to be a much closer call just based on some of these early games. I mean, you look at FC Austin Elite, they just beat Luxoria 2-1. Half that team was LSR. You know, I think that's a huge statement. Athenians just lost to Luxoria. So who knows? Who knows how this could pan out? But I mean, there's so much happening here. And of course, like things in other, conferences as well. Just, and I'm sure we'll get to that. I don't want to jump in too quickly, but yeah, I mean, Casey Courage and Sporting Nebraska had a pretty good game. It's all going to pan out to be a really good summer of soccer, I think.
Yeah, I'm really excited. And if you think about it, before we get into any of the matches, one of the things I want to bring to light, a lot of the country has been talking about this NIL process. Deion Sanders just called out Nick Saban, who called out Texas A&M regarding their use of the NIL. And just recently, we had 2 athletes from the UWS, the Thompson sisters, who both play for Santa Clarita Blue Heat high schoolers, the reigning national Gatorade Player of the Year, and her sister, who both play for the national pool in the program, just signed letters for the name, image, and likeness, the NIL, with Nike. And I'm curious to know your guys' thoughts as how it kind of changes the landscape for athletes now, even at the high school level.
It's crazy to think they're at the high school level and they're already getting that, and I'm so happy for them, like, that can change their life. I mean, imagine you wanna go to a certain college and maybe they don't have enough for scholarship, but hey, you have this baller endorsement, and now you can pretty much go play wherever you want. Maybe you could have a full ride at an SEC school, but only a partial ride at an Ivy League school, and so maybe you wanna go Ivy League now because you're still a Nike-sponsored athlete, and you can pretty much do whatever you want. I mean, it opens so many doors and options for people, or think about people who are walk-ons, and they get on, but they just don't get in time to get the big scholarship chunk of money. Maybe they didn't understand the recruiting process. Most people are recruited their, sophomore year, right? Sophomore, junior year, they're at least have a verbal commitment, and then you have your official commitment later on your senior year. But imagine you're late to the game, right? And you don't get all of that figured out until late into your senior year. You walk on somewhere and they just don't have any scholarship money. Well, hey, now you have an option to prove yourself, right? And then possibly get some sort of support or sponsorship elsewhere. I mean, I think especially with these universities that make so much money off of these athletes, especially football, basketball, like for bare minimum, let these kids who have really made a name for themselves just receive a benefit of some sort. And I think the hard part about it is that, um, you know, are there any regulations around it? Like, does it affect the scholarships that the school themselves get versus the players? What if the school's sponsored by Adidas, but this specific player is sponsored by Nike, right? That could
Right.
be an issue, right?
Well, at this time, they are verbal commits to Stanford. I do know that. That's their dream school to participate at.
Great
And if you
school.
think about it, Stanford is a Nike school, if I'm not mistaken. But that's kind of a
Great.
different idea. So it will be good to see. I think we're in a time where I remember being an amateur and you couldn't touch a sponsor. You these boosters that would, oh hey, you get in a lot of trouble for that. But now it's almost like, oh well, this booster owns a business and it's perfectly legal.
That is what I was just about to say as well. I mean, it's Mississippi State, man. Like, I know they had some booster stuff that came out, and then things got cleared up, and it was fine.
I heard you were
But
part of that.
oh, I wish. Shoot, that would've been nice. Would've been nice to have a sweet car rolling around college campus. I'm just kidding. No, but, yeah, that is a whole thing, like, how it went from being a huge issue to now, like, whoever has money wins. And, I mean, talk about people are gonna start leveraging their contacts like crazy. I'm
Yep.
also wondering, how with men's soccer, MLS, a lot of these guys tend to skip college and go straight to the pros. I'm wondering if because maybe there might be more money, more contacts to be leveraged, if you don't see more guys pop up in college,
Mm,
if they have a full ride. I don't know.
if you
I
get
don't
the
know.
experience, if you get the professional opportunity, I think you take the professional opportunity over anything.
Right. I mean, it's a hard one to pass up, no doubt.
Taylor, what are your thoughts?
I mean, it's kind of my thoughts for between football, basketball, of course, women's soccer as well is, get that bag. Like you have the opportunity, get that bag. Let's remove money from the situation, right? Let's say there was no money whatsoever. I mean, I think all of us and most people who are listening to this show can remember, oh, I'm a college kid. Where's the money? There is none because I am broke. And just having something as simple as, oh, this company is going to provide me clothing, new clothing. What if I want to go out on a date? What if I want to, go hang out with my friends? Oh, great. I have this brand new Nike shirt, like this new polo or this, nice dress shirt, whatever that this company is providing me just so I can simply go out and feel nice and look nice. Let's just say screw the money. If there is no money, at the very least, like some of these kids who are coming from nothing, at least having clothes to wear, it's everything. So yeah, get your bag. And obviously stuff like Nike versus going to an Adidas school, whatever. But even then, like almost every school is a Nike school. To be honest, I feel like you don't see that many Adidas. Obviously, Mississippi State's a little bit different, but they're a little bit kind of an anomaly. Everybody seems to be a Nike school anyway, so if you can find somewhere that you'll like.
I
Right,
think
right. You can make it work.
the biggest thing that comes from this, and it goes back to more than just branding. It goes more than, name, image, and likeness. But one of the big things is how it's going to promote women's soccer to everybody else. It puts, the Thompson sisters and anybody else who is at this level, it provides them an opportunity to be seen, not showcased, seen. And I think that's a big part of what we don't see enough of. Adidas has done a really good job lately of promoting their athletes who are professional. We don't hear much about these collegiate players. We don't hear much about these high school players. But now guess what? They're playing on a bigger stage. We have, on our cup of tea, you guys were discussing the video or the ability to be seen live, right? It's the same concept. Now these players are being seen, and you can put a name with a face. You can see the future that is our sport. And in many ways, what the idea of UWS and advancing women's soccer, hey, Nike's the first brand, the first merchandising company that's promoting that entity.
I mean, it's one of those things of, and we're seeing at the college level too, like there's several girls at UA, Alabama, who have some kind of, deal with a local business or maybe some kind of like protein shake, whatever, right? And I've asked them before, is like, what does that entail? And they were like, I'm not making the same money that the quarterback at Alabama is going to make, but it's not about being rich. It's about being comfortable. And that just means everything.
Right, right. And just think about the impact of social media now for these kids. Like it went from being something where you just have a couple followers and maybe it's cool, whatever. Maybe you show a couple of tricks here and there on your Instagram, playing soccer, whatever. But now it's a whole business strategy,
Yep.
right? Like I think you're going to see a lot of these athletes really pouring a lot of time and attention into their socials when that was something that was more of just a fun luxury to do, but now it's almost a necessity, and that's something that I've told a lot of these younger players, like, you have access, back in my day,
Right.
we had to send emails and, call people. We couldn't just be like, start following somebody on Instagram, and, that I'm talking about when I was in high school, not college, but, like, I mean, you think about just the endless opportunities there, like, put your reels all over YouTube, have an updated reel constantly, be uploading content, and you don't have to force it, just make sure you have a presence,
Yep.
and hey, you know what? Maybe even try doing partnerships with brands on your own. Start doing that on your own so that these bigger brands catch on and see what you're putting out there. Be a creator of content, show people your journey, just share some day-to-day stuff and you'd be surprised where it gets you.
Well, there was a great question that got brought up by Dr. Nose, and we'll come over to you in a second, Kayla. I want to make sure we touch on this because this is a good question to ask. If you aren't paying attention to the landscape of things, the question from Dr. Nose was, the NIL can do a lot of good. However, what about the small schools? Are they in trouble? And I'm going to say this. I'm going to say yes, because the NIL didn't really get talked about until if you go back a few years when Butler was doing really well in the NCAA March Madness. It wasn't until after that when big schools are like, okay, we have to find a way. And big schools are even changing the landscape in the collegiate level. And I don't want to get too much into this idea, but I think small schools could perhaps be in a little bit of trouble with this NIL for bigger entities, brands pushing or saying, hey, here's our schools, pick one.
I would like to play a little bit devil's advocate here and say the money has always been there and it's always been leveraged. And I can think of my experiences, right, with Alabama. I mean, before money was able to be handed out, how did they recruit kids? We can provide you laptops, iPads, all for school. So we can give that to you. We can give you this technology. We can give you these headphones. We can give you this nicer gear. We can give you haircuts at our own facility indoors. You don't have to pay for it. We can give you top of the line meals, right? Money has always been leveraged without the actual Benjamins on the table, right? So I don't think it's been any different. I mean, kind of to some other cases, there's some small schools with some rich people, right? And now
Yeah,
they can finally
these little
flex
private
it.
schools.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah, and, like Kayla, like you had said, a lot of it is about local contacts too, like, not everybody has to be sponsored by Nike. You could be sponsored by your local athletic goods store or maybe a smoothie place or coffee even, like, just anything that might be even remotely on brand, and that's another thing. Do they draw a line with what brands you can be sponsored by? Like, surely. Yeah, I mean, uh, would it be an issue, for example, if a player were sponsored by a lingerie company or some other a little bit cheeky company, right? I mean that I'm just playing for fun here, And I
I'm
would want
sure.
nothing
I'm
more
sure
than
there's
these
some
people
that
to
have
be
tried
taken
to.
care of no matter what.
I'm
But
sure
I
there's some that
feel
have
like
tried to
that
get
might
there.
be an issue. It might be an issue, right? With the coach, what if the coach has an issue with it and then they're like, "Well, I need my money." So,
Harry,
anyways,
Deion Sanders is saying it does not matter. Money is money, and it goes a long way. Doctor
all right.
says so. One way small schools may compete is by giving superstar former players a good coaching start. Good point about local business. That's a great thing. That's why they have the NAIA and Division 3 and 2 is to complement, right? Yeah, you might have been a former star player. Well, Deion Sanders isn't coaching at the Division 1 level. He's coaching at Jackson State, and that's another opportunity, right? You can go play for the guy who got you into the sport. That's another leverage piece, and I think that's a great point there by Doctor. But I don't want to get too much more into it. We got soccer to talk about. I think this is a good topic to have a conversation more of on our cup of tea, or perhaps the newly created UWS recap show that will be happening on Wednesday nights. We'll have that conversation later on, but spoiler alert, there's another show coming. So, hey, listen, last weekend we had a couple of matches, and again, before you jumped on, Katie, Kayla and I were talking about we had 3 hat tricks. We had some just really good sporting matches. What match had your attention last weekend, Katie?
Yeah, so the match that had my attention was Casey Courage and Sporting Nebraska. And for me, it was because of the score 1-0. And it was a penalty in which I believe it was Courtney Klassen from Casey Courage. She scored a penalty, and that made it a 1-0 game. And that was in the 65th minute. Now, in the first half of the game, Nebraska was really dominating in the first half. They were in the attacking third almost the entire time. But one thing I noticed is that both back lines are actually very, very solid. Only thing I noticed was that there's a little bit of splitting from Sporting Nebraska down the middle quite a few times. They had some opportunities, but at the end of the day, it was Casey Courage who really who took away the win. And so I think those are two teams I really love. I think it's fun sometimes to cover those 8-0 or 6-0 games because you're like, whoa, lots of scoring and activity, fun. But I also love to deep dive into these teams who are really close, right? And to see what happened there. And so I think if I had to say who had the most possession by the end of the game, probably went to Casey Courage. But in the first half of the game was definitely Nebraska. So all in all, it was just a really good game. And I think those are two teams that, again, you're going to see them go head to head again in the future. And it's going to be another close call.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
Kayla, did you have one of those 8-0, 11-0 matches?
No, although the 11-0 match between Indiana and Illinois, that one definitely caught the old eye. But the one that really stood out to me was one that we talked about a little bit last week, which was Mutiny versus Scorpions, which at the very beginning was a pretty cagey affair. Both teams just kind of filling each other out. Obviously, shout out for the Scorpions keeper, Hollenstom. She had 6 saves. Obviously, one went past her, but the one goal, oh boy. Listen, it was cagey affairs, and here's what I like to think happened. They went to the locker room and they said on the UWS Kickoff Show, Kaylor talked about they're not even Scorpions up here. What are we afraid of? And so because of that, you know, Alyssa Highland decides to go out there and says, you know what? That's right. How about I just go top corner, top bins as far up as you can like. All right. And then that's all
Wow.
that matters. And they go out there, they leave with a 1-0 win. Look, that goal was an absolute beaut. It cannot be nestled top corner much more. You kind of had to feel for Hollenstam a little bit because she's probably sitting there like, well, what was I supposed to do about that?
Yep. And you know what? It's good when you can walk away with a 1-0 win. And anytime I think of the mutiny, I always think of the Tampa Bay mutiny from the original MLS days with Vladimir, like, oh, the hair from Carlos. Yeah, but definitely no Scorpions in this match as Scorpions take the 1-0 loss. But look, they get a chance today. We'll talk a little bit more about them here as we go. But yeah, definitely potential goal of the year with that finish in the Mutiny match. Who knows?
It was a goodie. You're going to be hard pressed to find a better one anytime soon because that was ridiculous.
Yep. I think
Yeah, I was going to say it's a banger, as Megan would say, a banger.
Yeah, and she's not with us today. She's preparing for adult life post NBA. Yeah, she's, heaven forbid. She's playing soccer in the UWS League 2 with Unity, which is awesome to have Unity back in the fold after last year. They had a great year, and now they're gearing up again. It's going to be good for soccer down there in Florida. My matchup was FC Austin Elite and Luxoria. Look, you've got LSR, who played really, really well last year, and Luxoria has a lot of those players that have come over. And I'm very hard on FC Austin Elite because I know the inner workings of that club and what it means to Austin to have such a dynamic women's team. And so for them to come out and win that match was huge, because last year, if anybody remembers or recalls, they did not start off on a good note. They had a very tough year last year in terms of what was the expectation in the clubhouse, and to come off strong the first day with a 2-1 win on the road, if I'm not mistaken, really helped out. They were down early. They didn't lose their cool. They came back, scored 2, and look, they just held tight. And so I'm hoping to see more of that. And right now they're on top of the leaderboard in the conference. So hopefully they can continue to do that. Danny, you know the drill. You better get it going. I'm excited. It's good. Any other games that caught your guys' eye last weekend? Because look, we had 9 matches, 3 hat tricks, and just a lot of soccer, and I was really excited about it.
I was going to say, too, that FC Austin Elite game versus Luxoria, I was really happy for them, because they did struggle last season, and they've got some new players. They got Melissa Mior over there, who was with the Athenians and switched over to FC Austin Elite. So, it was just really cool to see them do something that really stood out, and it makes me excited for the way the conference is going to go this season. And, they have SA Runners coming up, and the Runners just beat Wilco 2-0. And not only that, but soon after, they both have the Athenians really soon on their schedule after that. So I think once both of those teams go up against the Athenians, and as we know, the Athenians lost to Luxoria, I think we're getting a much better pulse at where everybody's at in the Southwest Conference. So I'm excited to see that. I think it's going to be really good.
Yeah, the Runners ended up last weekend on Sunday. They won 2-0 against Wilco, and Wilco won last night. So, this is going to be a very, very different conference. There's no 2 runaway teams, I don't think. Right. It's a year transition for Athenians, no LSR. Austin Elite is retooled a little bit, I believe. So there's just a lot going on in that conference. Right. But listen, we've got soccer Saturday, no EPL. There is the women's Champions League going on today, which we can discuss later. But look, we've got matches. Last night we had Wilco and CTX Hornets at the Round Rock Multi-Purpose Complex. I was there last year. That place is amazing. I loved it. Katie, you were there.
I was there, and it is a nice little stadium. It's not too bad.
It was hot though. It was hot.
It was always.
I think I'm still
forever
sunburned.
Hot.
But
You can still feel the
Wilco
heat
won
coming
last
off your
night.
skin.
Yeah, Wilco won last night. Luxoria, who played last night against the Athenians, they walked away with a win. But hey, guess what? The defending champions kick off today. Kaylor, you got some insight on this matchup of Congo versus the reigning UWS champion Blue Heat.
I mean, Blue Heat obviously looked to get on track and just, I say get on track like they got behind. I mean, just like really hit the road and start their, repeat run. And I like to think that they have a relatively good shot today. And this is something that I would like to just talk about with you guys is that Congo, they're playing Congo SC today, who just played LASC yesterday. They dropped 3-1 to LASC. So you're having to get up the next day, heavy legs after a loss. It has to be so much harder to get up. I mean, obviously, because of that, I'm backing Blue Heat, but holy, having to go back-to-back days, that's
Back-to-back
brutal.
days and then facing the national champion on top of it, like, oh, the luck, man, not great. Um, situations like that, it's like, what strategy does the coach take here? Is it just bulk up on defense, focus on regaining possession, winning some 50-50s? What can you do? Because you're right, like your legs are so dead in those situations.
Yeah, the question is, are they dead? We spent a lot of time, if you go back to youth soccer days, right? We had tournaments. We were playing more than one game a day. It's no different. Yeah, the travel definitely plays a role. You're traveling from Utah to California. It's a good chunk of change depending on how you got here. We've lost Katie, but she'll be right back. I'm sure she's resetting her rebooting her Wi-Fi. There we go. All right. So you have.
Okay, I was like, am I the only one talking here? Because you guys were frozen. Got it. I was like, this is awkward. I don't know how to hold this ship down by myself.
It's all
Very
good.
funny.
Yeah, and so with Congo, I mean, yeah, you just have that's why you have these moments, right? You've come out of your college season, you've trained, you've prepared. All you can do is to have this. Now, it's gonna be interesting. Blue Heat is returning a lot of their regulars from last year. They've added some new firepower, and they've even added, a couple of people who were across the country last year playing at Corktown, Ballard, who comes in and gets to play at the Giselle and Alyssa. You have 3 high school stars who are on this team. And guess what, Katie? You know what that means? More speed. Because Ballard is fast.
As if they needed more. They were so fast to begin with, but man, they're going to be so stacked. They're going to do well.
But yeah, back to your point, Kayla, look, you have to prepare for this. You know what the schedule looks like. And so this is why we have trainers. This is why we have physios who get us prepared. Even last night, there's probably some cold plunges. There's definitely some recovery, TENS units that are happening. You've got to be ready. And it's just the nature of the beast. And even in college, you're doing this. You might have an extra day of rest, but look, you just got to be ready to hit the ground running. I think you're always on the ready and go from there.
Solid point about the ice baths. Ice baths are life. They suck in the moment, but you're like born again afterwards. That and some compression therapy and bulk up on protein, and it's crazy what your muscles can do for you.
Yep.
I think my biggest thing here is, I mean, obviously, like you mentioned, we're younger. We go out there and we play for hours, like almost, 4 hours of football in a day because tournaments are crazy. But whenever you get to a level like this, there's a different level of intent with every movement, right? Because when you're younger, especially when you're in those little tournaments, chances are if you're in UWS, you're probably a lot better than your youth teammates. So you could probably just go down there, just kind of you can take it to them a little bit, maybe take a few runs off because you can make the next one. But when you're at this level, especially going against Heat, and also LASC, who looked really good. You can't take a moment off. You're so actively engaged. And more than the muscle fatigue, talk about mental fatigue here as well. I mean,
Yeah.
that's going to be another part of it. And I'm not saying that it's impossible. I don't think anybody is going to be in danger of being injured, but it's just going to be the fact of it is going to be a full grind for them.
Well, you'll know what the grind is based on the scoreline. I'll be very honest. Like it stinks that you go and you play a technical team like LASC last night, and then you go and you play a very fast and physical team as Blue Heat wants to play. Talking to Coach Ludi last night, he says he's very excited about what the season brings, and he thinks that he thinks they can do better. He thinks they can do better. And when you hear that from your coach, and he's making that point, and he's saying, "Hey, look, we know what we're capable of," and it's about putting. He's a very technical coach, but he loves to play wide, and he loves to make sure everybody's involved. And you're going to see a beautiful game from them tonight, I think, and it's going to be. I'm a California kid. I'll be down there for a match to do it live one weekend, but this is one of those opportunities where they are going to they want to send a message like, "Hey, look." They were undersold last year because when we had the kickoff show, we never really spoke of them. Then when we get closer to the playoffs, we're still not talking about them. And it wasn't until we got to the playoffs that anybody really put a team together to see it, because we didn't get to witness it. Now we get to witness it after a little bit of hey, here's your warning shot, and that was last year. It's 2.0 is going to be huge.
This is going to happen again on the 27th and the 28th for them. On the 27th, they play they play FC Arizona, and then the next day again, SC Blue Heat. Yeah. So they didn't get very lucky with their schedule. Something tells me it has to do with traveling. I bet they just wanted to knock out two birds with one stone kind of situation.
Yep.
Maybe that's what it came down to. And what can you do, right? But that's tough.
Gas is expensive. Gas is expensive.
It really is. It's so crazy.
Even if you're flying or driving, it doesn't matter. It's still expensive and costs money.
Yep.
Blue Heat, Congo tonight, 7 p.m. All matches available on 11. I always want to say 11, like just 11.
11.
But 11. They'll be on there tonight as well as all the other matches. You can catch them live on that channel on the UWS page. You go to the search bar, you can type in UWS or United Women's Soccer and catch all the action from this evening's matches, as well as go back if you want to watch some former Blue Heat games. You can go back and watch championship game from last year, which is never a bad thing to get caught up on what they're capable of. Katie, you got to pick a match. What match are you highlighting today, and what should we expect?
FC Austin and SA Runners, as I had mentioned a little bit earlier, kind of already dove into it. But, SA Runners is a new team in the group, but they've already kind of started to prove themselves. I think a 2-0-1 win over Wilco is a solid win, especially for a brand new team who doesn't have their chemistry quite down yet. I mean, they were just spawned from thin air almost. And so I think it's going to be really exciting to see how they kind of stack up against each other. And then thereafter, again, both FC Austin versus the Athenians and SA Runners versus the Athenians. I think that's where we're going to really see who's who and who stacks up against who, because, those are two rivalries. I mean, up until SA Runners popped up, it was FC Austin Elite. That was kind of our, I-35 rivals. And now that SA Runners are in the mix, that's a new rival. So maybe just everybody's rivals in this league now, right? Because it's such a close call, which it wasn't last season. Like you had said, John, there weren't there are not going to be two runaway teams this season. I just don't foresee that. There's a lot of transition occurring at the Athenians and a lot of good things there. So it's, with those processes, it's understood that might be a little shaky at first, but I think when your team makes it to nationals, you have really high expectations for them. And so we'll just have to see how they stack up against, teams like FC Austin Elite. So yeah, I think it's going to be really good. Yeah.
I mean, they did they got a win last weekend. And so that's a positive whenever you can get a W. The problem is going to be, what's it going to look like when you play a team that has been around, that has done this in
Right.
ATX Elite, as Harry would say. I think it's a different game. I think, the Austin Elite has finally, I think they've got it this year. I think they've tuned some things. They've brought some new staff in and some new players to add some blood. And it's going to be a good conference. I think the Southwest Conference, CTX Hornets has improved. Wilco has improved. Everybody is improved or is in the process of fixing some things to get there. Kayla, what are your thoughts?
I mean, like you said, I mean, everybody is constantly improving, right? I mean, if you're if you're not getting better, you're falling behind. Um, it's one of those situations, or just kind of in general, if you're going against a team who's been there, done that, like you mentioned, I think if you're especially a coach and somewhat a player, obviously, and you're a player in the moment, you're thinking about the game, right? But if you're a coach, maybe take a peek at what their coach is doing, because UWS is a bit of a different situation than what you would have at college, or even maybe somewhere like a NWSL, obviously. Like, this is different kind of experiences. You're dealing with people who've been graduated for years out of college, maybe who played at NWSL, and then you have people who are still in high school. You're having to shut up, Harry. You're having to
Harry, keeping us
you're
on
having
our
to deal
toes
with
out
stuff
here.
like that. Like you're having to really deal with real, almost personality clashes just out of age. And I think if you're a coach and you're having to learn from the people who've been there, did that, just watch. And I think that's something that could help the whole team.
I'm lightweight dying because Harry has been all over you today with the Siegel comment, and now he's just giving your predictions a bad time.
Look, the Siegel comment is not even his. That's unoriginal stuff, Harry. Get something new.
Oh, burn.
Yeah.
I like what he brought up about the CTX Hornets, though. Like, yes, my
It
bad.
is a good point.
I should also mention. Yeah, great point.
They're all improving, and everybody in the league. Look, even if you're new, you're already improving because you're going out, you're seeing something different. We've seen that in the score lines. I'm not gonna lie. The match last night, you go in and you don't understand, like, these teams who are established or been around the block for a year or two, they learn the hard way as well. And so you come in and you might get just shoot off the pitch. But the reality is look, once you witness and you see it, you start to learn quicker. When you walk in, you don't know what to expect. You're like, oh yeah, okay, last year they had this, and this, and everybody improves. Everybody improves. And so you have to be on your A game as you go forward each and every week. When you start, you just have to go in thinking that you're the best. And then when you lose, guess what? Okay, I'm not. I got to retool and fix the ship a little bit to get it right, because at the end of the day, everybody's coming out and gunning for their opportunity to play in the UWS Championship weekend. So we'll see. I think my match, and I'm mad, Kayla, you didn't even bring it up, and it's a thing between you and Joe today. 3:30 Pacific, 6:30 Eastern. I'm going to say it's 5:30 Central. I think I'm right there. And that is the Atlanta Panthers. Joe is the original ticket. He's the first ticket holder for Atlanta Panthers and FC Birmingham. This is going to be one to watch. It's the first contest that is played by an Alabama-based club, and it's going to be against the second place Atlanta Panthers from Marietta High School, Marietta, Georgia today. Kaylor, what's going on here, man? Are you nervous? Are you excited? Soccer in Alabama in the UWS is going to kick off today, my friend.
First off, you can't name your team Atlanta if you can't even see the skyline. That's obvious.
Oh.
I don't know. I think this is going to be a really big test for FC Birmingham. Obviously, first time team's going to go out there, play at this kind of level. This is going to be a learning experience for everybody. Coach Kat, who has years at Samford, she's been there, done that, but this is still going to be different. We're seeing a lot of our girls are from Jacksonville State, Auburn, Montgomery, or even a lot of them still in high school. And so we're going to be going against girls who Tennessee, Vanderbilt, Auburn, Georgia, those are going to be some big dogs to go against. And I think this is going to be a test for, coaching staff, obviously, but for our girls also to be like, how big is this gap? Is this a real thing, right? Because I think there is a stigma that comes around not being at one of those SEC schools. And I think there's going to be a little bit extra motivation for our girls to go out there and say, screw you, we're just as good, if not better. It's going to be interesting. I think that I think that Birmingham's not going to be coming away with the win. I think these girls are uber talented. I mean, they're all, and I said it last week that I would have hated to have been the person who had to make these cuts because there was nobody that stood out to me as being worse. They were all incredible. I think if you're going to be circling anybody for this FC Birmingham team, Carla Gayton, she is the goalkeeper. Holy cow. She has some of the best footwork I've seen out of a young goalkeeper. Her footwork is incredible. I think you're going to see her make some nice saves this weekend and hopefully keep FC Birmingham in the match.
That's always the hope, right?
Yeah. And it's really solid point there about, the stigma between SEC and other leagues or whatever. And you're right. People come out with a chip on their shoulder with that kind of stuff. A lot of these, I feel like the Southeast is oddly, like, while there's multiple states involved, I feel like a lot of these players know each other from club. And so, because it's just a smaller space to cover versus like Texas, it's its own world, and the Southeast is kind of its own world. So you're totally right about having a chip on your shoulder. I mean, I remember playing games in preseason against other teams in other leagues, and a lot of the girls knowing other girls on those teams. And they always come out with fire, So it's a solid point there.
Well, speaking of fire and two teams that know each other, I'm moving out. We are going over to a match that's going to take place today over in the Mid-Atlantic Conference. Look, we're going Coppermine United and New Jersey Copa FC. No establishment here. New Jersey Copa, I love them to death, so we'll keep it at that. But hey, listen, you've got two clubs that are really well known in the circuit for MPL and EDP on the East Coast, in Coppermine United and New Jersey Copa, or Copa FC Academy. Look, this is going to be a matchup. Both these teams have players that have played against each other since they were 8. They've coached against each other since they were just getting out of high school, going into the coaching level, who are now playing. This is one of those matchups. Coppermine being the actual first to promote. Harry and I had this conversation this morning about Pro Rel. Look, Coppermine United actually promoted from UWS 2 to League 1. And so we're going to be focused on that entity today because, look, I think it's going to be a great matchup. When you go in and you look at these two clubs, they are both very well established on social media. Everybody knows who they are, except for here on the West Coast and probably in the central part of America. But they're two brands, and I think this is going to be a matchup. Both have not played yet. New Jersey Copa FC last year missed out on the playoffs by, I think, goal differential. Coppermine United promoted. What are your guys' thoughts on this? I mean, look, when you know each other's kind of game plan and what they're looking to do, even at the youth level, this always provides excitement, and I'm excited to see what they have.
Yeah, I mean, when you know someone to that degree, you know their strengths and their weaknesses because you've just played with them for so long. And so when I think about coming into that situation where, I've been in that situation as well, where I'm like, okay, I'm about to go up against like half my club team right now. And I think what it comes down to is the cohesiveness with the team you're on and the chemistry you can build with the team that you're on, because at the end of the day, you're playing different. It's not one person out there winning the game, right? It's all 11. And so if you don't have that cohesion, especially in the back line, that's where the the players on the other team who really know those weaknesses can fully benefit, right? But if you're playing to a different strategy, because you have a different coach and you're really cohesive with your team, then it can make it a little more difficult. But no, I think you're right. It's going to be a good game.
Kaylor, thoughts?
I mean, yeah, echoing all the same sentiment. I mean, this is one of those matches that, yeah, I circled this one because even past players, just like you mentioned, if we're talking about brand versus brand, this is about as big as it gets, especially on this side of the country. I mean, these are two powerhouses, and so I think it's going to be exciting. I think fans are going to be pumped, and the players are going to be getting up for this one. Like you mentioned with the coaches, there's going to be a little bit of extra fire for the players to play for their coach. Like they want to stick it to the other guy because we love our coach, right? So I think it's going to be a really heated and really excited match, and I can't wait to watch this one.
Yeah, it's going to be.
Oh, look, the NorCal's awake. NorCal's awake. It's good to see NorCal. They actually ARFC here in Sacramento. They have a UWS League 2 team, and they're actually having a kickoff party for the club at one of the local high schools. So that should be pretty cool. A little family fest today. So you should check out there if you're in the Sacramento area. Check them out. Saturday, obviously, most of you in Sacramento are probably still asleep, as many people are. But that's okay. You'll wake up and you'll hear this, and you're like, "Yes, soccer done."
A little shout for oh gosh, I lost her name. Copper.
Coppermine.
Thank you.
Coppermine. Got you.
Copperfield, and that was not the right word.
No, not David. Not David.
No, not this time. Coppermine. Alabama's own Taylor Carter playing for them, so I'm really excited about that. She's a sophomore, upcoming junior. Looked really good in the matches she played. I was always impressed with her. She's kind of that midfield / forward, can kind of slot in that cam. If you need it in a pinch, she can go in as a forward. I really like her game. Really good touch, really nice passing ability. Her vision's really, really good. So, if she gets onto the pitch, expect some fun passing at the very least. Maybe no goals today, but definitely going to be cutting open some space. Taylor Carter, great player. Great human.
So you'd say she's more on the creative side, kind of creates a lot of plays, and very cool. I love those players. They're my favorite to watch. Even over goal scorers, when you have someone who's just killer with assists and creation, it's like, yes, that's the stuff.
A lot of her goal scoring chances that came from last year is from other teams having to respect the pass first. She, like other teams, started, sagging off of her and just started saying, "Oh, we need to cover the pass," and she was like, "Oh, is that a wide open net? Don't mind if I do." So
right, so
really
she's got both. And,
very Pirlo like, very Pirlo like. Last match, and then we'll get everybody directed to their ways. Oh, we got Harry. Harry's bringing in his point. He says, "Good luck to Arkansas Comets and Arkansas Wolves, both playing their first matches in UWS today." That is true. Arkansas is represented really well this year. We're excited to see that. We'll touch base before we head out then, Harry, just to give you a taste of one of the two teams. St. Louis Scott Gallagher, Chicago Mustangs at this is a mouthful, the Worldwide Technology Soccer Park in Fenton, Missouri. Listen, Scott, SLSG, as we know them as, took a 2-0 win last year to end the Mustangs' hopes of playing in the national championship. So I feel like there's going to be some I'm not going to say studs up, but there's definitely be some people who tackles are going to be a plenty today, and goals perhaps a plenty. Chicago Mustangs has a chip on their shoulder to prove a point that, hey, we're not going down that way this year. So I'm excited to see that match. I think there's a lot there. Chicago Mustangs always refueling, great culture, great team. Now, can they finish what they started this year in the UWS in their second year? Katie, Kaylor, what do you guys think?
Chicago did great last season, I think they've always been on our radar. They've always kind of slid into a top-ranked team, in the power rankings. And so I feel maybe because I'm a little more in tune with them or aware of them from last season that I just want to lean towards them. But I can't really fully say at this time. So, what do you think, Kaylor?
I think the big thing, and I've talked about this before, is that when you look at this Mustang squad, right, there's a lot of continuity between the players. And obviously, we don't know what happens behind closed doors, but when you watch them before, they look like a team that really cares and really enjoys playing with each other. They play well together. And when you can keep that kind of positive continuity with each other, good luck if you're the other team. I mean, you could be just as good, but good freaking luck because they know each other and they are excited to get back and playing with each other again. So I'm pretty stoked for this one.
Yeah, I think that's a good point because last year, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think I am, Mustangs in their first few games, they were clean sheet after clean sheet. They were winning, 8-0, 6-0, 4-0, and they were playing really good soccer until they got to St. Louis Scott Gallagher and lost 2-0, which probably left a bad taste in everybody's mouth there. And I know that brand, that team definitely did not see that coming, and they're probably still a little mad that happened in the first place. So look for them to come out today and really, set a point. And again, Arkansas can come out all day. It's the way to go. We're going to move out now to Arkansas comments and Gretna Elite. Gretna Elite, new coaching staff. We talked about this last week on the show about new coaches coming in. This is going to be at Harbor Wildcat Stadium in Sprindale, Arkansas. The Comets making their anticipated debut of UWS soccer in front of their home crowd, which is always a positive when you're playing against the runner-up from Central Conference last year in Gretna Elite. This game could go either way, in my opinion. I'm really excited and impressed with Gretna and how they've tooled their team based off of what I've seen on social media and their presence and how they've displayed things. So this should be a good point of interest. What are your guys' thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's always hard to say when it's a new team, but I think Gretna is a great team to see how you stack up against them right off the bat. And Arkansas for soccer has always been a great area. They've also pumped out a couple of solid soccer players, and they tend to be part of Southeast. And so I think I'm trying to kind of look through rosters and things right now, and I'm seeing just Arkansas State, Ozarks, University of the Ozarks, University of Arkansas. I mean, again, all great stuff. Every player except for maybe one has college experience, and that in itself is really solid. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And I do believe last week, the Comets were the team that I said, hey, they are going to be a thorn. And it's based off everything you just said. I mean, Arkansas has always had a lot of talent. The players that they have, come from lots of different backgrounds, just nitty gritty players. Again, I don't know if they're going to be coming away with a dub today, but they are going to stack up. And I think you're going to really see the power of this team and just how just knows the grindstone they are, because they have some grinders out there. And I think they're going to put kind of the UWS a little bit on blast with just like, whoa, where did they come from?
Hmm.
Ooh, good point.
That.
Good point.
The drama, the suspense. I'm just kidding.
All right. So this just came to mind. Next year we need to have a Derby week. That's what we need. We need to have a Derby week where you slot yourself up. So UWS schedulers, whoever you may be next year, we need a Derby week. And I'm going to say this, the Derby that we will see today, Erie Commodores FC Buffalo. FC Buffalo coming off of a week win here. They are second place on goal differential. They won 2-0, and they get their first match against Erie Commodores. A derby, as they would say. Nick made sure I knew about that just a minute ago. So, hey, listen, fresh coming off of a victory against FC Berlin. This is a match that the rookies from Erie get a chance to play against. We won't call them royalty yet, but they did have a good regular season until they got to the playoffs in FC Buffalo. But what do you guys think? What does it mean to play against a rival? Their men's teams face each other all the time. FC Buffalo and Erie Commodores, which has an awesome logo, by the way. I'm just going to say that. I think this matchup is a solid opportunity, and good for Erie to be able to schedule a rival, a derby, your first match, and at Dobson Field in Buffalo, New York. This is going to be a good one. What do you guys think?
Anytime there's a rivalry, it's going to be a good game. And then, what an opportunity for the brands themselves, considering they have a men's team that continually goes head to head. That's a great opportunity for them to share these women's teams on their platforms, start spreading awareness. Hey, we have this, whole other world that you may want to come out and watch and be a part of. And so I think for me, when I see stuff like that, I think what an incredible marketing opportunity. Right. So I'm hoping, I'm sure, but I'm hoping that they really take advantage of that.
Yeah, I think that just like you mentioned, talking about maybe like fans and other families, talk about the men's side. They're going to be excited to go out there too. And
Right.
this is going to be some real continuity between the men's and women's sides, which we always want more of. Anytime that we can have a true club atmosphere, the better, right? And I think that this is going to be a fun time. I think we're going to see, some more continuity between those two teams. And like you said, and, okay, you've talked about this having rivalries, your I-35s, right? Those are matches that you get up for. They're definitely going to hear about from their counterparts. This is a match we get up for. We love this one. This is the one that we love to hate them. They're going to have a little bit of that chip on their shoulder too, and that's so exciting.
Right. I feel like every city has its own vibe, and I think the big part of the rivalry between San Antonio and Austin are, who has the better tacos? Who has the better whatever? Who has the better soccer? And people in Austin are XYZ and people in San Antonio are XYZ. It's just like I think every city has its own vibe. And so when you look at rivalries like that, especially when it's a city to city thing, I feel like there's just so much more than just the sport. It's well, we've got to beat them because there's always some reason why, right? Even outside of just the sport. So I think that's what makes it all so entertaining, and that's what makes it so drama filled.
Oh, well, Harry, even though, he goes by Harry Austin, he dislikes Austin.
Most people do.
Well, listen, is there any other matchups that, wow, dig. And you know what? He doesn't want us to ask you about your favorite music, because that was a topic in San Antonio this week. I'm just saying.
Music. Don't ask about my taste in music. Was this on my Instagram story?
I don't know.
I have no idea.
He'll come back with something. He'll come back with something.
I'm sure. I'm
actually stalling right
now.
now.
I just want to say, I do love Austin. I feel like Austin's my second home. I don't want to dig, but a lot of people in San Antonio do not love Austin, is what I'm trying to say. That's what I meant by that comment.
I'm trying to stall to get the greatness of Nick Mendola on from FC Buffalo to talk a little bit about his matchup today, since he is he's one of those FC Buffalo individuals. We'll see if he jumps on here in a second. We'll give him a few minutes. But are there any other matches that has your attention? Eminem was the topic. He says Eminem was the topic.
Eminem. Oh,
look at those eyes.
Oh no, I think he's talking about possibly my co-host from ESPN San Antonio Radio. She was talking about how you can't bump Eminem. I never really got too deep into it, but I don't know. I remember Eminem bumping before games at times. What is it like? Oh God, I'm gonna butcher this. I'm not even gonna try, but like vomit on his sweater already, mob spaghetti, and you're all like, yeah, I'm gonna go beat these people's ass, let's go tackle somebody,
that song got you fired. That pumped you up. That song pumped you up.
Back in the day, that was
back to reality. We go back to reality.
Yes, there we go. But I don't know why I'm getting all of these daggers.
Because Harry's turned. Kaler gets the brunt of the abuse during the week, but another potential matchup. Yeah, Pittsburgh Hotspurs and FC Berlin. I think that's another matchup.
Just about to bring that one up. Yeah,
I'm going to say this. Hopefully they aren't so Spursy. Even though the Spurs are going to make Champions League. Sorry, Arsenal fans. Tough. That's almost as bad as the Gerrard slip. Oh man, we're Ooh, we're just dishing out this morning. But
Jeez.
hey, listen,
I know.
both sides searching for a historic first win in UWS. Berlin meets Hotspurs. They were held scoreless by FC Buffalo in their debut. It's a new era of soccer in the Steel City. The team in Hotspurs is coming in. This is also going to be in Buffalo at Coyer Field. Look, both teams making their UWS debut. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Pittsburgh Hotspur crest. I think it's just a nice look. Probably goes on merch well. So that's your winning fashion battle of day one, which is the most important battle to me. I think
Is
there's
it
a
better
lot.
to, well, Kaylor, hold on. Is it better to look good than to play good? Just
I
asking.
mean,
I think it's more like if you look good, then you play good.
yeah. I mean, come on.
Then you're more
They
likely
go
to
hand in
win.
hand, really. When's the last time you've seen someone wear something bad and then play good? They hate that. You're just sitting there like, well, I look like crap. I mean, come on. I mean, or something like that. I don't know. You can tell I never did college sports. I don't know. This is a really interesting match because you're seeing players who, for Pittsburgh Hotspur, even though maybe they didn't play UWS, they've played before. They've played with each other. This is a club that's been around for a while. So they still know each other, right? And I'm really excited to see that of how the continuity of playing together in a different league translates to UWS, which is why this is a match that I really circled. It's like, how does the continuity from one league to another go? Because I think that's going to be a real stand up. And I think for some fans, because we always love the comparison game of how does this compare to this might be a good chance to see that.
This is true. This is true.
Yeah. I mean, I've got nothing on this one. I mean, like I kind of feel like it's just another one of those situations we just have to see how it plays out, how things go. They're both in the same area. Again, a lot of these players probably know each other. But I think what it's going to come down to is, again, how cohesive they are in the beginning, because with these newer teams, I think the reason you see a lot of losses for newer teams is because they just don't quite get it down until maybe the second half of the season when it's too late, right? So I think it's going to come down to who can get it together the fastest and get a good end result. So
The culture that Pittsburgh Hotspurs has and what they're trying to develop. Look, it's a grassroots club. It started off as a youth club. Now they're adding entities to this to kind of bring it about, which is nice, right? Anytime you can do that is a good thing. So we'll see. I want to see the growth of that club, and I think it starts with providing a platform for their women athletes to have an opportunity. Because if you think about it, Katie, how many times growing up in a youth club did you have, to look up to somebody and say, hey, I want to play just like this person, or I want to get to that level, right? You had to go to college. Now, path to pro idea, you can potentially get to be seen more by a college as a high school athlete or even a community college athlete. How important is it, Katie, for clubs, youth clubs, to have a UWS or UWS League 2 entity, do you think?
Oh, it's so important. I mean, when you look at a lot of the players that are playing professional, I'm just going to parallel this to men's soccer just because that's where my head is at a lot of the time. In MLS, a lot of these players that make it to the pro leagues have started in academies. And I think, unfortunately, it's been a little late for women to pick up on that. I think we've just been blessed with some great clubs, just private clubs out there that, really own things and have pumped out some great players. As you know, we're one of the best teams in the world, the U.S. women's national team. So what I want to see is more of that on the women's side. These academies that take these kids from a very young age and train them in the way that they really need to be their best selves. And not only that, when you're around a club like that, like for example, an academy, and you have the ability to maybe play up with the first team, that's where that real experience early on comes into play and makes a huge game changer. I mean, you even look with the Athenians, we have a couple of homegrowns that have started, making their appearances on first team. Emma Hammonds is one of them for the Athenians. And so, I think that it's just so important to also have that representation, because it gives you a marker or a point of reference of, okay, I want to do this, and it's not unattainable. I think back in the day, a lot of times the idea of being on a national team or the idea of playing pro just seemed far away. It just seemed like it was reserved for people who had the privilege to really be in those big clubs, and whose parents could afford to take them everywhere, and whose parents could, um, get them the connections they needed to be on Olympic development teams in order to get to that point. And so I think that now that we have so many more options for women's soccer, whether that be NWSL or UWS or USLW, whatever, I think the more academies that pop up, the more chances that women have to go all the way into D1 Pro.
It's a good point. Kayla, anything to add to that?
Nah, I think Kay nailed it.
I went on a rant. We might talk about this a lot on our cup of tea. So we've got
Spoiler
we
alert.
covered quite a bit.
Well, hey guys, listen, we've hit the hour 6 mark. I know you guys have things to do. I know we've got competition to get to today. So if you head over to the UWS Weekly Twitter, you'll find the link for all of today's action in UWS. We want you guys to enjoy it over on 11 Sports. Streams should be good. We are excited for everything that is going to be soccer today in UWS. Again, any last comments before we get our fans out to matches?
Enjoy soccer. Watch all of it.
Yeah. And tag us. Give us some questions, something to mix it up a bit in the next episode. Let us know what's happening there in your local area as well, because as you know, it's all up to us to kind of find that coverage. And I think the more that you share, the more you tag us, the more you let us know what's going on, the better exposure we can give to a lot of these teams, and maybe some things that might fly under the radar for us. So tag us, give us shout outs, questions.
Just to be honest, more than just the competition on the pitch, the more storylines I love a good storyline. Yeah, the match is important, but I want to know about the stories inside the match. So, hey, if you guys got some good stuff, send it to us, because that'd be incredible.
Yeah. Sharing's caring. Sharing is caring, everybody. But hey, listen, for myself, I know Megan is coming back next week, so we'll have a 4th member of the team, the lovely Megan, finishing her MBA. So make sure you head over to her social media and give her praise for doing that while working with us, because we're the shenanigans. I swear, somebody says shenanigans one more time. We're just all in, and more shenanigans to come. Join us midweek as we try to get our stories straight and give you some recaps on the weeks that is. Oh, wait. I might have Nick join us in a second. Hold on. We might have FC Buffalo in the house. He just hit the DMs of, win. I said right now. So we'll see. We'll give him a few minutes. But hey, as we prepare,
that's a tough one.
I can't say no to Nick. Anytime Nick wants to just jump on the show, he's probably already stoked for this. So we'll see. He's got a nice backdrop too. All that NBC stuff going on. He's got to stay sharp.
NBC stuff. That sounds.
He's a hockey guy. He's a Buffalo Sabre, so he's got a lot of free time right now. He's got a lot of free time. I think for us though, the main thing I'm curious to see in UWS, I want to see how this Western Conference plays off, because again, you have great clubs. FC Arizona, you've got Impact, you've got Calgary. Once those teams start kicking off, this Western Conference is not one to sleep on. In fact, over the last few years, with the exception of maybe a year or two, every club that's won the UWS has been a West Coast team. So keep that in mind. It's a good thing. And hey, listen, here we go.
Pumps out great soccer.
FC Buffalo in the house. It's Derby Day. Nick, how are you, my friend?
I'm still recovering from last night's men's derby in Erie. So I got this poofy hair and my Mickey Mouse Halloween shirt on that I slept in. So
nice. Well, hey man, I want to say
Halloween year round, man.
Always, yeah. I'm always in disguise anyway. So.
I want to say thank you for taking the time to join us this morning. And I want to be able to look a Derby day on the first day of league play with Erie Commodores. What does it mean to you guys to have that opportunity? And what does it mean for Erie to be able to play against you guys, the trendsetter last year of UWS? What's that going to mean for you guys?
Well, that's a little ridiculous, but I appreciate you saying that. No, we had a really great season. We had a just an incredible group of women put the team together. And as you know, and we talked about before, I think it was really important to me that that I step out of the way as best as possible, because the best clubs seemingly in our league, but also pretty much everywhere, have handed the keys to the main stakeholders, and that's the people who have progressed this game in our country, and that's the women themselves. So we've had, just a really great group of people, and we're fortunate. We have I'll answer the Erie question in a minute, I promise. But we had we had 3 really good forwards last year, and we had more than that, but we had 3 all conference forwards last year, and one signed for Reykjavik in Iceland, another signed for Le Havre in France, and is now representing the Portuguese U23 national team. And from everybody I talked to, our captain could have been the 3rd, but she had to get her graduate degree. And so we're fortunate to have her for at least another summer, Charisma Catrona, and she was also part of the organizing committee for our team. So just a dynamic woman, and we're just so excited to get back on the field, and especially in a derby. Our men's derbies are heated, absolutely heated, and last night was as close as you could get to a fight. But there's also a kind of a compelling spirit within the 2 clubs. And, last night, Erie, who suffered a terrible loss this offseason, also had a minute's silence before the game to honor the victims of the mass shooting in Buffalo, which is really kind of slapped us all in the face, as you can imagine, gut punch, whatever you want to say. So, there's a spirit here, and I think that as much as this is a rivalry, and I'm going to want the girls to absolutely pound Erie tonight, we're so happy to have them because they're a good club. They're right down the road. They're in Erie County, Pennsylvania. We're in Erie County, New York. So it's it's the Erie County Derby, and John Melody, the man who runs their club, is a wonderful person. Everything I've read about Bex Young, who's going to coach their team, looks like she's an incredible ambassador for the community. So I know there was a long answer to your question, but we're really humbled and thrilled to have the opportunity to have a derby on both sides of the ball, so to speak.
Is it one of those derbies where they, at the end of the match, they take their flag and just smash it down in the middle of the pitch?
It was.
Fire. I'm just kidding.
No, honestly, it was. At the early stages of this, and again, we're talking about the men's side, so this hasn't happened on the women's side yet. But in the first 5-6 years of this, it was. Honestly, at times it was bad. Not just because they were beating us, but because there was a real vitriol, and I think over time there's still that level of hatred, and nobody was looking at each other before the game, and except for me and the other owner, and even then it's kind of a begrudging, I gotta love you as a person type situation. But I think now what it is an absolute desire to win, but an understanding that in the American soccer landscape, to be operating at the 4th tier on the men's side, and I guess what you call the 2nd tier on the women's side, right? The highest non-professional level. There's a respect for still existing. And I know that sounds kind of funny to say, but it's really hard to run a soccer club at the adult level, especially if you're not, with this huge youth undertaking underneath you.
What's the offseason been like for FC Buffalo?
It's been rough, honestly. It's been a real challenging one. That there's been a lot of movement in American soccer, and not all of it good, but sometimes even progress kind of shakes good fruit off the tree, so to speak. So it's been an awful lot of work. Our home stadium, which we love, is getting new turf and track. So there's been the challenge of finding a new place to play. But we feel we've done that. And not only that, we found a place where we can sell beer to people of 21 plus. So we feel like we might make up for that, but it's been a really, 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 really challenging off season. So it's just great to watch soccer now, honestly.
Shout out to Community Beer, right?
Yeah, 100%.
What are your specific goals for the team this season? Based on the squad you have now, what are some specific goals that you have for the girls?
So I think what we learned last year, our goal is, unfortunately for the girls, after last year winning the regular season division title, our goal is to do that. And then whatever happens after that is tough. I think women's soccer is in a extremely unique space. We're fortunate to have a lot of post-collegiate players on our team, which is going to help. And we've been able to build that way this year. But, we have players from a couple of colleges that call their players back very, very early. So I think our goal is to compete for a division title, which is going to be very difficult. Some very good teams in our league. And once we make the playoffs, if we can make the playoffs, then, it's going to be about just banding together that spirit and getting behind the fans and seeing what we have. And I think that's going to be a challenge for as long as college soccer exists, which is absolutely going to outlast us. So, and every team deals with it, right? So I don't mean to sound like we're a unique snowflake in this situation, but I know in our last game last season, we feel a little bitter because on Friday we had access to our best 11, and by Sunday for the final, which was at home, we were missing 3 starters or minutes limited on 3 starters. So, and again, we're deep and we love our team and we love our depth and we still feel like we could win and we played a really good game. But we realize now that, I don't know, I guess it's kind of like, I don't want to sound like a Man City fan. I'm certainly not. And if Liverpool wins the league, they would feel this way as well. But if you top the table over 38 games, to me, that's more impressive than, say, winning a cup. So as much as in most countries, right? And this, I think my day job is NBC Sports Soccer, Katie. And so I cover the Premier League every day. And that's what I'm technically doing now. Don't tell my boss.
No games today.
The games don't start till tomorrow. No, I know. But
stay with me.
Yeah. And so for me, the person, especially if your league is good, which our league is phenomenal and our division is very good, winning the division to me means a lot. But in America, the playoffs matter so much. So it's an interesting kind of dilemma.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the fact that there's not really a lot of relegation either, because it's more of financial honestly, structures involved and it just complicates everything, I feel like.
Yeah. And I don't want to get on a sorry, I don't want to get on a pedestal here because I talk about this a lot. I am very much pro-rel. I love it. Love the idea of it. But, our country is gigantic and it's going to be a massive undertaking. And I think a lot of people kind of will blame, say, MLS or NWSL. It's always easy to blame the top. And certainly they're not encouraging promotion and relegation. But let's say we won our division last year and we got, in this mythical world, we got promoted to NWSL. I have no chance of making 3 trips to the West Coast on our budget. So the financial infrastructure, like they have in the Premier League, you get promoted, here's some money, here's and when you get relegated, here's a parachute payment. I just still think we have work to do there. It's just what we should be arguing for is to have the willing, quote unquote, soldiers to do that work for us. And we need better servant leadership from the people at the top of the federation.
Kayla, you had a question for Nick?
Yeah, I was going to kind of ask about, you talked about the derby between the men's side and now the women's side is getting their iteration. And, obviously for fans, the derby is going to be just as real, right?
Right.
But I was just wondering between the men's and women's side, how much is there like a real community culture, or does it kind of feel like 2 different clubs at times? Because that's always something that I've wondered about some of these instances.
So we made a dedicated plan. I mean, last year the shirts that we gave to the guys and the girls for practice both said one club on them, and we are. It would be naive, and I'd be lying to you if I told you there was this instant. There's this instant bond. Now there was an instant we want them to win, but I think it really took until the end of last season. I remember our playoff game. A bunch of the boys come up in the press box and watching with me and getting a lot of texts. And the people who get our club, the people who have been around for a while, like our captain last year and our vice captain they came to every game. So on the men's side, so that was great. And a lot of these kids. It's weird. I'm 40 now. A lot of these 20-year-olds, they go to school together. Yeah. So, like last night I was driving through the players' home from Erie. because they live near my house, so they didn't take the van. We just kind of went up together. And Riley Wagner, our center back, who goes to Canisius College, he said, "Oh, yeah, Maya's playing tomorrow night." And I said, "Well, I didn't even took me a minute." I'm like, "Yeah, of course Maya's playing. She's on FC Buffalo." But Maya goes to Canisius College where he goes, so they know each other very. So the bonds are there, and this year, especially with both games, the schedule being as congested as it is, I think this year we're going to really see that. But it does take some time to develop, and I want to give it some patience. But this year it does feel like everybody's right there for each other.
Do you feel like from a business marketing perspective, because you do have the men's team, that it might help generate a little bit more, I don't know, of a fan base for this derby specifically?
Sorry, my son walked in.
I've had that all morning, man. The store's locked.
Yeah.
I put my dog out
mean,
there and for that reason.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, I just literally jumped on this call. I was excited to talk to you guys. I didn't tell anybody downstairs. I think that people are here for it. I'm going to sound egotistical about it. I'm going to say something that probably isn't 100% true.
Do it.
It's that I think there are certain rivalries in American soccer that people who are tuned in. Not everybody's tuned into our tier, but if you pay attention to the NPSL, I guarantee you know about the rivalry down in Denton, Texas, and in the NPSL on the men's side. I guarantee you know about the two Connecticut teams maybe in UWS. So my thought would be that when people talk to us, they know we play Erie at the very least, and they know that it's a game that matters to us. So I do think that this is going to absolutely transcend things. When we put out a post the week before a game on social media, there are games where you just tell people there's a game on Sunday, and if the graphic has the other team's logo in it, awesome. But every tweet says Erie. We want people to know if they miss the Erie game, they're going to tell us like, "Oh my God, I can't believe I missed the Erie game." So I think it really does matter. And I mean, I get so fired up about it. Even last night, like I will tell you this, going into the game last night for our men, I arrived at the stadium thinking, look, it's early, it's a 12-game season. Whatever happens, happens. I just hope like there's no fights. And then like 2 seconds into the game, I'm like, we can fight and I hope we win. Not really, obviously. But yeah,
there's something about the energy in the stadium that'll do it to you,
100%.
like
Yeah.
it's just raging. Yeah, I feel that.
Well, and the other thing is like on our men's side, and I'm excited for this on the women's side as well, because there are players, not necessarily in Erie, not for this game, but like Pittsburgh Hotspurs, who joined their league this year, has a girl who played her youth soccer in Buffalo, right? So we're starting to see those connections. We have a player from Notre Dame, so she's played ACC games against Pitt. Like there are going to be connections there, and we're super excited about that. But like on the men's side last night, our coach he coaches at Mercyhurst, where the game was. Like he's the head coach there, but he's our head coach. And our forward was the center forward at Mercyhurst, and their two midfielders were. So there's like, it's intense. It's intense.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that at all. Hey, so Nick, how can people find out more about this opportunity to watch this game tonight? Is there tickets available? Is it a free admission? How do people who are in the Buffalo area who are watching, how do they make sure they get out to see this derby?
Well, I want to even say this. I want to go beyond the Buffalo area. Like I hope you guys can tune in. I think that the partnership that we have as a league with 11 Sports, our streamers and our play-by-play guy do really good work. And I would love to have anybody watching this tune in, even for just a couple of minutes, to get maybe their first taste of the derby or our club or our fan base, which you won't necessarily see because this year the cameras are not across from the fans. But so to tune into 11 Sports, because I think there's going to be a really special atmosphere tonight. But yeah, we're playing down at UWS Dobson Field. We have Community Beer Works on site. Cold Stone Creamery is bringing their truck. And then tomorrow, or for future games, we're excited to announce that the Ukrainian Holy Trinity Church is going to be running the grill, and all proceeds are going to go to humanitarian aid in Ukraine for any burgers and dogs sold. And then later today, I can't talk about it quite yet, but if you tune into our social media feeds, we are unveiling our 2022 Change Kit which is an anti-racism kit, which will go to benefit organizations that are helping rebuild the East Side after the absolutely horrible shooting last weekend.
Make sure you tag us on your social media so we can help pump that out, because that's going to be important to make sure we get out for you guys.
Will do. Sorry I didn't shave or do my hair or anything like
Me
that.
Me neither.
Excited to join the show.
I'm excited to have you on, man. Anytime, you know you're more than welcome anytime. You just tell me, I'll throw you the link, and you can jump on to talk FC Buffalo soccer any moment.
Yeah, thanks to all three of you. I appreciate what you guys do, and I appreciate the educated questions, and I think you guys do a great job with it.
Awesome, Nick. Well, we'll let you go. I know you got pancakes on the grill for the kids and soccer on the mind, my friend. Good luck, and hey, we'll make sure we tune in tomorrow as you cover some EPL last day matches.
Thank you. Have a good one.
All right, my friend. We'll talk soon.
Bye.
All right. So special thanks to Nick for jumping on with FC Buffalo. Appreciate that. Spur of the moment. Might as well look. If you put it out there.
The best conversations happen spur of the moment.
That's
I
right.
believe. It's good stuff.
Well, hey, make sure you check out the UWS Weekly Twitter account to get to the 11 streams as matches will start kicking off here around noon Pacific. Any last parting words, you two?
Stay cool in this summer of soccer because it's hot and toasty, at least in Texas. So that's all I got to say.
Kayla, anything? Nothing?
Nah.
I'm going to make a prediction. We're going to see.
I mean, what are we at? An hour and a half right now? We've said it all.
We've said it all. I'm going to say this before we leave. Don't be shocked if you see 50 goals from around the league today. I'm going with a high number.
Oh, 50 in total.
Well, we had 11 last night from one game. So, look,
right.
we're a good chunk of change there. But, hey, listen, everybody, until next week for match day 3, go ahead, go to our social media, check out where you can find your matches on 11. Don't forget that FC Buffalo stuff and the potential kit drop today. Make sure you purchase one of those to support them. And if you're at Buffalo, buy a dog or a burger on me to support the relief efforts in Ukraine. But hey, listen, until midweek with our cup of tea, or perhaps Megan and I with the recap show. And then until next week for the kickoff show. Peace out, peeps. Have a great day of soccer on this Soccer Saturday.
I'm a part of UWS because of the opportunity it provides women.
Because it provided me the competition and exposure I needed to get to where I am today.
Because financial transparency is important to me.
Because at its core and within its leadership, it is truly dedicated to the promotion of the women's game.
Because of the competitive pathway it provides female players and coaches.
Because it expands the pathway of our club and offers more opportunities for players to develop.
Because I too support women in sports.
Because of the people. I love competing at a high level with some awesome teammates and getting to compete against people around the country.
Because it provides female athletes with a much needed platform to remain in the game in a professional setting.
Because it's the best summer league in the whole country. There's no question about it.
Because of the commitment to diversity for the players, coaches, and administrators of the UWS.
Because I like the opportunity to compete at such a high level and the advancement of the women's game.
I am a part of UWS because I believe in its vision and its leadership.